Hey guys, Chris here from Boxing Brothers Online Coaching, and today we're going to be focusing on the art of slipping. And yes, I have a black eye, and yes, I'm ironically teaching you how not to get punched. It's not bad, huh? So I've already done a breakdown of slipping, so I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of that. If you want to watch that, it's in the prerequisite series, parts 1 to 3. I cover it a few times. So if you want to watch, slipping for beginners, just head to that. But this video is just going to focus on some other components that I didn't focus on in those videos and some common mistakes that I see when people are trying to slip. So the first component we're going to focus on is the depth of your slip. You don't want to be going too far down, because the further you go down, the further you've got to come up. And if you get stuck in that position, they start throwing multiple punches, you're in a crouched position receiving punches. You want to be slipping just enough to miss the glove, or so that the glove misses you. So if you look at the width of a glove, you want to be getting your head off the center of that width. So make sure when you're slipping, you're not going too far down to the left and right. You want to be just getting your head off the center, just getting your head off the center. That way you can slip multiple punches and you can counter with ease. The next one you want to be careful of is leaning backwards when you're slipping. Whenever you're slipping, even when you're stepping backwards, you don't want to be leaning backwards, because you're weak when you're leaning backwards. So we're not talking about riding punches. Riding punches is when you're kind of leaning back on the shot. We're talking about lateral slipping specifically today. So if I'm going to slip a punch, I'm not going to lean back and slip, lean back and slip. I'm going to keep my weight in the center, and in fact, I'm going to roll my shoulder down. Okay, use the shoulder as a cue. So I'm going to be transferring my weight onto my front foot when I'm rolling my right shoulder down, weight onto the front foot. And as I bend my knees that little bit, it kind of naturally suspends me into that slip. Yeah, and I'm keeping my weight in the center. Likewise, into the opposite direction, I roll my opposite shoulder down, and I'm just bending my knees a little bit, bending my knees a little bit. You don't want to be slipping and leaning back, because if they continue punching, then you're in big trouble. Okay? And from here, it's a little bit harder to counter and maintain your balance when you come out for that counter. Whereas if I'm slipping, just kind of dropping my knees a little bit and rolling the opposite shoulder down a little bit, my head will naturally get off the center. So you drop those knees, soften those knees a little bit, roll the shoulder down, and that shot will land over the shoulder, rather than leaning back on the punches and ending up like a banana. Right, the next one is how to position your hands. So this is another massive argument. Do you drop your hands when you slip? Do you keep your hands up when you slip? Essentially, you want to keep your hands up as much as you possibly can. And if you're transferring your weight efficiently and kind of rolling that shoulder down and not leaning back on the shot, you should be able to keep that hand pretty high. You want to drop it enough, obviously, to be able to see your opponent, so you can see what other punches are coming. So naturally speaking, if I were to slip into one direction, I'd be dropping my hand just that little bit so I can see what's going on, and likewise into the opposite direction. But you don't want to be dropping your hands too much, because if they are throwing multiple punches, your guard is going to be the thing that saves you. So I want to be slipping, and then if another shot comes, I can easily put my hand up and catch that shot. Likewise into the opposite direction. So don't drop the hands too much when you're slipping. Just drop the one hand enough to be able to see. And again, if you're slipping with the right technique, the hands being nice and high shouldn't be a problem with your slipping, and their glove shouldn't be catching your glove. Okay, next is your timing. So the timing is pretty much going to be the determining factor as to whether or not you cop that shot or not. Obviously, this was terrible timing. You want to make sure that you get your head off the center ever so slightly earlier than when your opponent is throwing their punch. So for example, if my opponent throws a shot at me and then I start moving my head, the chances of him landing the shot's pretty high. Whereas if I try to kind of assess when they're going to throw that punch and try to determine when I need to get my head off the center ever so slightly before they start throwing that punch, that's when you're going to efficiently slip. So if your slipping is not working for you, chances are you're responding off the punch itself. Don't respond off the punch itself. Respond off a cue or a giveaway, something telegraphic that your opponent is giving you that's going to allow you to get your head moving before they throw the punch. Okay? So if you're moving around with your opponent, you're boxing, etc., you need to look for something that they're doing, whether it be stopping before they throw, whether it be dropping their hand before they throw. That's when you need to start moving your head off the center. Okay? So you're moving, you're punching this, and you go boom, and then they throw. Ever so slightly before. And that's going to help you be able to slip those punches rather than responding off the actual punch traveling itself, because once that punch leaves their guard and it's coming to you, that punch is ahead of your slip, and unless you're super fast, you're going to be copping that shot. So start trying to determine when they're going to throw and get that head off the center before they start throwing that punch. Now another important one is countering. Okay, so once you've come out of that slip, so once you've efficiently slipped that punch, so let's say for example, I've slipped the punch, I've got my hands up, You know, I've rolled that shoulder down a little bit. I've dropped my knees a little bit, so my legs have suspended me into that slip. I've evaded the shot and I want to come out firing. I want to come out with a counter punch or a counter combination. You want to make sure that when you come out with a counter, don't come out with the head up and dropping the hands and going for it, okay? You need to come out with poise. You need to come out with composure. So I've evaded that punch, boom, it's landed over my shoulder, suspended my legs, my hands up. I'm going to come out with my chin down, and whatever hand I'm not punching with is going to stay up at my guard. So I've slipped my opponent's jab, and then I come out, boom, boom, with caution. Because that might not be the only punch they're throwing. They might throw that jab, and then a cross is coming. And if I come up out of that slip with my head up and my hands down, I'm going to be copying that straight. So I want to make sure that when I slip and I come out for a counter, I come out with my chin down and my guard nice and tight. And I'm really calculating what kind of punches I want to throw, okay? If I slip to my right, I want to be, more often than not, coming out with that leading with that right hand, with my rear hand. If I slip to my left, I want to be coming out leading with the left hand. So whatever direction you slip into, your counter combination should be leading with the shot that's loaded up, all right? So I've slipped, this hand's loaded. Bang, 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 bang. I've slipped this way, this hand's loaded. Boom, 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 etc. Be cautious when you come out of the slip for the counter. So just to recap at a full body view, guys, you want to make sure that you're not slipping too deep, okay? So when you're moving around, you're not going, whoa, big slips like this. It's small movements. Little movements, just enough to get your head off the center. Use a mirror or get a glove and just see how wide that glove is in front of your face and get your head off the center of that glove. And that's the only width you want to be slipping, okay? So not too deep, just small slips, okay? Next one is you don't want to be leaning back on your slips, because if you're copying multiple punches, you're weak here, you're going to be in trouble. You want to be keeping your weight in the center, and you want to be using your legs to ground you into that slip and suspend you. The legs need to be doing all the work, and rolling the shoulder down, roll the shoulder down. The head will naturally go off the center. You tilt that head a little bit, but really it's the legs and the rolling of the torso that's going to put you in the position that you want to be to efficiently slip. Watch my legs, legs and shoulder, and that head will naturally go off the center. Little bit of a conscious tilt of my head, but it's my legs and my shoulder that's doing all the work and positioning me efficiently. And it doesn't matter what direction I'm moving in. So whether I'm moving forward, boom, boom, moving forward, whether I'm moving back, bang, bang, bang. Whether I'm moving to the side, like that, slipping, I'm moving around this way, slipping, the transferring of weight remains the same. If I'm moving backwards, I'm not slipping like this. I'm keeping my weight in the center, I'm rolling my shoulders forward, and I'm slipping, moving back. Likewise, forward, left, and right. Make sure you keep your hands up as much as you possibly can when you're slipping. Slipping is dangerous, especially if they are throwing lots of punches. So the hands up nice and tight, the elbows are in, the chin's down, and I'm slipping, and I'm trying to keep my hands up as much as I possibly can. If you need to drop them that little bit just so you can see, that's okay. But you don't want to be slipping, and with the momentum of your slip, having those hands drop as you slip, okay? Because oftentimes as we dip, it kind of throws our hands off our guard. Don't let it happen. Keep those hands up, and just boom. Elbows in, chin down, because that's going to be your next line of defense if your opponent keeps throwing punches. Now, when you come out for the counter, you want to be slipping, yeah? And then if I've slipped to my right hand is loaded, I'm going to come out for a counter with multiple punches leading with the right hand. And I want to make sure when I come out for that counter that I am composed. My chin's down, my elbow's in, my head is down. That's a massive one. You don't want to slip and then come out firing with that head up, because you'll get into big trouble. You slip, and then you come out with the chin down, the opposite hand up, and you let your shots go. If I'm slipping to my left, yeah, I'm coming out with that left hand. I'm leading with that left hand, whatever that punch may be. If I'm slipping to my right, I'm leading with the right hand. Not to say that you can't do it vice versa, slipping to the right, leading with the left hand, but more often than not, that's going to be the most efficient way to throw those punches and to come out of your slip. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. I'll see you next time.